Deputy Speaker, today I'm again honored to present the budget and policy speech for the Department of Social Development for 2021-22. This budget and policy speech has been shaped by our engagements with our social partners, non-profit organizations, civil society, and the private sector. As a department, we have anchored positive relationships with our stakeholders, premised on a proposition to work together to solve societal problems and explore opportunities towards the realization of our shared social development goals. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we are gathered at a time of great social and economic distress as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, which has impacted hugely on the conditions and the well-being of individuals and families. The effects of COVID-19 have exacerbated our socio-economic situation, threatened livelihoods, and increased vulnerability and reduced options for families. The month of March marks the International Day of Social Workers. In this regard, I would like to take an opportunity to recognize and acknowledge our fallen heroes and heroines within the Department of Social Development and the sector at large, who were at the coalface of service delivery, ensuring that families, communities are supported during these difficult times. Honorable Deputy Speaker, indeed the human development evolution and its normal pattern has changed drastically in the context of COVID-19 pandemic. We have seen families losing members of their households due to untimely death caused by the pandemic. We have seen high levels of food insecurity amongst our communities. We have seen women experiencing gender-based violence more than before. We have seen breadwinners in our communities losing jobs through retrenchments, which affected their livelihoods. We have also seen an increase in the number of people entering the higher vulnerability and greater exposure of families to risk. We have seen an increased number of people affected by depression, anxiety, state of hopelessness, and growing social distress. Honorable members, we are cognizant of the fact that the Department of Social Development is strategically placed to deliver the much-needed services that are geared towards providing care, protection, and development of our communities. Our aim is to restore dignity, strengthen families, and to empower communities to be active participants in their own development, thus promoting social change. We intend to assimilate the clarion call by the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, which was made on the January 8th statement, where the President declared that 2021 is the year of Charlotte Maxeke. This year marks the 150th anniversary of the birth of one of South Africa's greatest social activists and pioneering leaders, Charlotte Maxeke. Maxeke represents women who broke incredible barriers at a time where women were expected to know their place in society. She made an exceptional contribution to the struggle for the liberation of women in South Africa and challenged contemporary attitudes about the place of women in politics, society, and the economy. Now, as the department, in celebrating Maxeke, we will engage in a year-long campaign wherein the department will assume a more activist and a family-orientated approach in reinforcing the mandate of the National Development Plan through our Sisonke Sizophumelela campaign. This campaign is primarily aimed at government and civil society, deliberately intervening on threatened livelihoods and vulnerability of individuals and families that have been directly affected by COVID-19. In this context, I would like to draw the attention of this House to the following specific commitments that have been influenced by the political imperatives of our 5-year MTSF 2020-2025, which have been expressed in our 21-22 annual performance plan as following. Priority 1, which is strengthening early childhood development and the provisioning of child care and protection services to ensure that every child is protected, receives developmental opportunities at the early stage of his or her life. Priority 2, strengthening prevention and early intervention programs on gender-based violence and femicide. Priority 3, improving sustainable community development interventions. Priority 4, enhancing the participation, mainstreaming and empowerment of all our vulnerable groups, persons living with disabilities, youth and women development. Priority 4, growing and strengthening of the NPO sector through improving monitoring and management. Priority 6, building capable and ethical and developmental state for effective service delivery. Priority 7, strengthening social partnerships through which vulnerable individuals, groups and communities become capable, self-reliant participants in their own development. I will now outline the policy imperatives within the allocated budget and table critical social protection programs aimed towards ensuring empowerment, enhancement of the capabilities of individuals, families, communities for improved socio-economic development. On priority 1, on early childhood development services. Honorable Deputy Speaker, early childhood development is a government-wide priority. In realizing the vision of the Provincial Early Childhood Development Strategy, the department has ensured that 74,999 children access the ECD centers from our equitable share and conditional grant subsidy. This includes our special day centers, which have increased to 5,230 children. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the ECD sector has been grossly affected by the loss of income brought on by COVID-19, which required immediate relief. In the current financial year, our government has ensured that measures are put in place through the presidential ECD package that assisted in ensuring that we protect 7,866 jobs. I am pleased to report that the Department of Social Development and the Department of Education have established a provincial task team to coordinate the migration of the ECD function, and an implementation plan is in place to fast-track this process. Notwithstanding the shift, our role as a department will focus on intensifying childcare protection services aimed at building the cognitive and emotional development of children within their family environment, thus ensuring that they are safe from all forms of abuse, neglect, violence, and abandonment. And childcare and protection services. Honorable members, in partnership with our child protection organization, we will provide alternative care services, stability and permanency planning to children in need of care and protection through our temporary safe care foster care services, residential care services, and adoption, focusing on reunification of children to their families. The total budget set aside for these services is 95.2 million. On building functional and resilient families, in partnership with our civil society organization within the family services sector, we will implement services that promote resilient, functional, and stable families, such as the Family Preservation Program, to prevent further vulnerability. These services will include family therapy, marriage preparation and enrichment, family group conferencing, mediation, and counseling, benefiting 16,114 family members. The budget set aside for these services is 9.1 million. On priority 2, honorable members, gender-based violence is a profound societal problem in the province, and our commitment remains stronger and bolder to tackle this epidemic. In my recent encounter with the effects of the pandemic, I visited the family of Siqotho family in Ngqusho local municipality, where the family lost a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old in a tragic incident, and one of many gruesome cases of sexual assault and murder in our province. This unfortunate incident demonstrates the importance of the need to double our efforts in mobilizing society to ensure that we protect our children from all forms of violence. We cannot remain silent anymore. We must act, and act now. We must act with more decisiveness and aggression if we are to defeat the scourge of gender-based violence. The department will champion the implementation of Pillar 4 in the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. Our priority will be on the provision of victim-centered response, care and support services aimed at restoring human dignity, healing, safety, freedom and equality to prevent secondary victimization. Again, in partnership with our civil society organization, we will strengthen the existing gender-based violence and femicide prevention programs through alternative platforms such as the media. We will also ensure the provisioning of safe sheltering services to women who are victims of violence in all the 8 districts in the province, with a special focus given to people living with disabilities, accessing psychosocial support and sign language services. We will prioritize economic empowerment of survivors of gender-based violence with a special focus in the OR Tambo and the Nelson Mandela districts. The budget set aside for these services is 43.5 million. On priority 3, poverty alleviation and sustainable livelihoods. Honorable members, the department will continue to extend its partnership programs to cover vulnerable individuals, households and families towards improving access to food and nutrition security. In addition, more people will access nutritious meals through our center-based program, the Community Development Centers. The department will continue to support a range of poverty reduction initiatives to benefit 5,261 people and 296 households. Moreover, the department will also focus on child poverty and malnutrition intervention in Ingquza local municipality, Port St. John's and Ntabankulu. The budget set aside for these services is 14.4 million. On sustainable and inclusive job creation through our extended public works program. During the 21-22 financial year, the department will strengthen the management and the implementation of EPWP program by creating 6,613 work opportunities, as well as improve reporting and document management at all levels. The budget set aside for the EPWP program is 6.5 million. On local economic development, the department is committed to implement the Provincial Local Economic Development Framework, targeting 50% spent on locally manufactured commodities. To this end, 80% of the budget spent on goods and services will be spent either on locally manufactured products or on business enterprises that have a footprint in the province. The department will work with greater effort to unleash the economic potential of women, youth, and persons living with disabilities in ensuring that they have access to skills, assets, and opportunities. On our social relief of distress, as the province continues to face serious challenges of poverty, and specifically child poverty, the department has developed a strategy to mitigate the impact of abject poverty and child deprivation through setting aside funds for the provisioning of social relief of distress in the form of food parcels and school uniform. The budget set aside for this program is 8.2 million. On strengthening rural development through the anti-poverty strategy, as we remain committed in the National Development Plan, which aims to eliminate poverty and reduce inequality by 2030, the Integrated Anti-Poverty Strategy is one of our catalyst programs for the provisioning of comprehensive developmental services by ensuring that communities become active champions of their own development. The budget set aside for coordination of this program is 525,000. Priority 4. On women development services, in 2021-22, the department will mobilize 6,644 women and fund 27 livelihoods initiatives for the empowerment and integration of women in the mainstream economy. Formal partnerships will be established with KGI Holdings for the placement of 100 women and youth upon completion of an accredited ICT skills program. The budget set aside for women development is 3.1 million. Youth development. The department will implement youth mobilization programs targeting 9,750 young people and skills development programs benefiting 1,029 young people from all districts. Further, 119 youth development structures will be supported. The total budget for youth development services is 9.9 million. On our services to all the people living with disabilities, in the 2021-22 financial year, the department will intensify the provisioning of community-based rehabilitation services for persons with disabilities through strengthening the disability forums, Furthermore, the department will fund 19 residential facilities for the provisioning of care, protection and support to services with disabilities, 24 protective workshops for the implementation of skills development program, provisioning of psychosocial support to persons with disabilities, and 29 community-based rehabilitation projects. The total budget set aside for this is 30.9 million. Our services to older person, as the department is obliged to provide services to increase the lifespan of the older persons through the provisioning of community-based care services in realization of the transformation agenda as outlined in the sector priorities. The department will aggressively promote home-based care, ensuring that older persons receive services through caregivers at their homes. The total budget set aside for this program is 76.6 million. Our sanitary dignity program for young women. Honorable members, in order to redress the vulnerability of young women, the department will enhance the access of indigent girls to adequate sanitary products to achieve sanitary dignity. This financial year, a total of 37,307 young learners from quintile 1, 2, and 3 schools and special schools of children living with disabilities will benefit from the program with a view of protecting their dignity and academic performance. The total budget for this program is 33 million. On priority 5, new partnerships with reliable, responsive, and accessible social development services. The Department of Social Development has a rich history of implementing partnerships with NPOs, which impacted positively in the development and empowerment of our vulnerable groups in our communities, thus contributing to the improved quality of life. In this regard, 275 NPOs and 116 cooperatives will be trained on compliance matters and accredited technical skills. The budget for this is 1.5 million. On priority 6, as significant lessons have been learnt by the department during the COVID-19 period on shortcomings in rendering services through our social partners, which resulted in slow response time, fragmented and intervention, ineffective coordination with civil society, and poor management of performance information to allow for speedy and reliable reporting. We have since determined that the root cause of this weakness of our partnerships are the scope, focus, and how these are managed. In this regard, we commit to expand the scope of focus of the DSD partners to include the private sector, state-owned enterprises, the national and international development agencies, to enable the department to expand its footprint and make services accessible to the underserviced communities that are located in deep rural parts of the province. To ensure structured relations and to improve efficiencies in cooperation and partnerships, we will establish an MEC advisory group on partnership work, which will serve as an expert reference group responsible for advising the MEC and the department to ensure effective coordination, alignment with government priorities, and effectiveness of social investment in increasing the footprint and impact of our partners. On priority 7, Honorable Deputy Speaker, we are mindful of the provisioning of the one paper for public sector transformation aimed at building capable and ethical public service. As such, we will be decisive in our efforts to implement these provisions. Our plan is to rigorously overhaul the organizational performance management system for the next 2 years. Through the implementation of the organizational turnaround plan, we will strengthen local service offices for an improved service delivery. Honorable Speaker, I want to share with the people of the Eastern Cape the sentiments derived from the speech delivered by Umamu Charlotte Maxeke at the National Council of African Women in 1938 in Bloemfontein. And I quote, "The work is not for oneself. Kill the spirit of self and do not live above your people, but live with them. If you rise, take somebody with you." As such, as the Department of Social Development, we shall therefore rally behind one unified vision to advance the developmental and socio-economic agenda of our democratic government with our social sector partners at the center of service delivery in caring, protecting, and developing our communities with efficiency and effectiveness. I want to acknowledge and appreciate the contribution our social partners, Old Mutual, Coca-Cola, ABSA, Vodacom, Eastern Cape NGO Coalition, Eastern Cape NPO Sector, the National Development Agency, our South African Social Security Agency, South African Council of Churches, the United Nations Population Fund, who have demonstrated a commitment geared towards conveying a message of hope, resilience, and support in the unpredictable time. I now table the budget for the Department of Social Development in the province of the Eastern Cape. I thank you.